You guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let's get started. So, once again, we finished off the previous one, which was for the last thing that we did on the 15th. So, we are now moving on to the 16th of June, and we're still setting up our stores. So, what happened here?
We established a petty cash fund.
All right.
So it'd be 16 June. And petty cash, which is number 10200. And then checking, which is 10100. And I debited the petty cash for 500 and credited the checking for 500. And then before I did my note, I went to the check register.
Good, because when we do our petty cash fund, we have to designate someone who's in charge of the lockbox, and we're gonna write a check out to them and tell them to cash it out and put the cash into the lockbox. We can't go to the bank and just withdraw money and just put it in a cash box, because once again, that could also pose dangers of fraud as well. So here, that's what you're properly going to do is have them go into the actual bank, cash out for the money, and put into the lockbox themselves. Good. Okay, so 616.
500.
For cafe.
In this case, since we supposed to designate somebody, I'm okay by you guys putting petty cash. Because
Established petty cash because there is no one designated.
yeah, anything like that, petty cash. As long as you know this check is for petty cash, you wouldn't technically write it to petty cash. You would just write it out to whomever is in charge of the petty cash. Okay, but as far as this, I'm okay with you just writing petty cash. All right. So
And in my notes, I just put to establish petty cash fund, check number 1515.
all right, good. So then, what happens next?
We set up the cash register.
Okay, and where do we do that? Well,
No,
what?
no.
No.
Gotta go set up the petty cash.
Drawer.
Yes, and where do we find that?
In the chart of accounts.
Not chart of accounts. What book do we use?
Secondary ledger.
Not secondary.
Oops.
Subsidiary.
No, it's
Not
there.
not subsidiary. We are not dealing with any vendor, customer, or employee.
Wait a minute, what's the question?
Ledger. General ledger.
We have to post it to our general ledger.
Yeah. We would use cash in register account 10300.
No, this is petty cash. It's separate from a cash register.
Oh, wait, I must have read it wrong.
Yeah, okay. So in this case, here we are.
Oh, yeah, okay. We're still on the petty cash. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's okay. Now we got to go to the ledger to update that we place money into the petty cash fund. And also we have to make note that we wrote a check out. So here, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're making a note that we have a petty cash fund, right? First thing that we have to do as a, before setting up a petty cash fund, the idea is that you need to have one, a physical lockbox, and two, you need to set up a general ledger account for the petty cash fund before you can actually start using the petty cash fund. Okay.
Which is what we have here.
Which is exactly what we have here. I've already created it for you. So here we are. And what do you want to say?
Establish petty cash fund, check 1515.
Okay.
GJ5. Debit for 500. Debit for 500.
Okay. Good.
And then we'll go up to checking. Date will be 6/16. Check number 1515. GJ5. Credit 500.
All right. So
Bring our account to 179992.
still not looking too good here. We're down to our last mere $1,500 left, or in this case, $1,700, or almost $1,800. Okay. All right. So, what is next? Do we move on forth? Is there another
Yes.
thing that we have to do?
We move on forward. We don't need to go in the subsidiary ledger because we didn't deal with the customer or vendor.
Correct. Okay. So here we are.
And here's where we set up the cash register.
Yes.
We use the date 6/16.
Okay.
I use the account cash and register
Good.
10,300 and checking 10,100. And I debited the cash and register for 310 and credited checking for 310. Then I go to my check register.
On.
No, check number 1516 for $310. The pay I placed as cash in register.
Good. So you would definitely place the person who's in charge of the cash register. So in this case, it would be Irene Jameson. But in this case, that's okay. As long as if you have the general idea that you would technically write it to someone who's responsible for it, you can write it out to the owner itself because he should be the one that's setting up the cash register, especially the cash register. But once again, Irene's going to be also in charge of the cash register. She's going to be the one up front dealing with the people, giving their cash or their change back. Okay, but for this case, I rather have the owner do it. But for this case, you could write the check could be written out to the cash in the register. That's completely fine.
But won't we just make the check out to Coffee Cafe and then in the little sub note, then put like petty cash or cash register?
Okay, so
Because if we're seeing that what we're writing the check out, it's to our own business, right?
So
Coffee Cafe.
there's a rule here too. You can't ever write a check to yourself. In this
No,
case,
no.
like you can't write a check to the actual company because the check is coming from the company.
Yeah, but it's kind of I'm just saying like if you go cash a check and it says cash register, and they're like, who's cash register? You know what it says? Where it says to pay.
Right. That's why I'm telling you right now. It would usually be whoever's in charge of the cash register. So in this case, it could be the owner. But I say recommended. It should be the owner that's in charge of this. But once again, this is just fictitious business, right? I'm just making a note here so you know whoever's in charge of the cash register is who you're going to write the check out to, because they have to go down to the bank, go cash it out, right? They have to get the exact change. They can't just go in and withdraw from the ATM. They actually have to get exact change. So in this case, they have to go inside the bank, and get the exact change of X amount of 20s, X amount of 10s, X amount of coins, right? So in this case, I just put cash in register just so that you know that this check is written for the purposes of the cash register. Okay, but
Yes.
it technically would be somebody who's in charge. So if you would like to, Felipe, if you want to be more accurate about it, go ahead and just write the boss's name.
Okay. No, but yeah, I was just asking for,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
And then of course for your, if you have a note on the side, that's where you could say note for the petty cash fund or note for the cash register itself. But in most cases, you would you would technically write the check out to someone. It cannot be something. But if you notice that most checks, right, at the bottom of the check, right next to the signature, you have the for little section.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. That's what, like, I was thinking, yeah, okay, so I would make it for like Bob, like we put Bob Mason, and then said,
You have the
cash
little,
register.
yeah, absolutely.
And that was for $310, not $315.
Sorry, thank you. Oops.
Then I went back to my notes and I made a note to set up cash register, check number 1516. Then you go to general ledger. Under assets, cash and register. $616. My note, I put set up cash register, 310 start each morning. My post reference is JG5, and I debited for $310. Then I go up to checking.
Oh wait, hold on. Did you say the check number here too?
Can you give me a second to catch up real quick?
Same.
Yeah.
Does that say set up cash register start number 5310?
Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be dollar. That's a typo.
Okay.
It's supposed to say to start
Set up
with
register.
$300 each day. Yes. If you've ever been in sales and you're in charge of the register, every day you must start with a certain amount every day, just so that you have enough money to, you know, exchange with your customers. So you have to always start out every day with a certain amount of money.
Actually put a little side note to the count of the denominations, everything, just for the heck of it.
Oh, okay. Like you said like they have X amount of dollars in there.
Yeah, like at the top it says 25% or 8.25% sales tax, and it says $10 in coins equals $10. Then the 520s equals 100. Like I just put a little side note to the rate just for the case I needed it later.
Okay. Once again, as far as this, I'm not gonna be that extensive to have you guys make sure you have all the amounts in there. It's just just making sure that you're able to set it up, because at the end of the day, when we do receive cash, what you're gonna essentially do is have the person every morning make sure that they have enough money in the cash register. Okay.
I'm good.
All right. And then you said, what was next? You said up to the checking.
Yes. Date will be 6/16. Check 15/16.
Ooh, whoops. Check number 1516 JG5.
For $310.
Okay.
And then we are finished with this one.
Yep. Looking at the account balance now, once again, we are now down to our last 1500. Okay. And in our general journal, we've also reached the end of our journal here too. So you can move on to the next one. Page 6. Okay. Okay, so what happened next?
We're underselling Starbucks and we're giving coffee away for cheap.
Hey, we gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wouldn't even got like pumps. What they call flavorings? Or,
Yeah, the
For
syrups.
Frappuccino
Yes,
right
Sarah.
now.
I know. Come on. What are we doing here? We only got coffee.
Well, at least ours are freshly brewed coffee versus, syrups. So,
Yeah.
I
and
won't stand here and let you talk about Starbucks.
and don't forget this too. Starbucks, right? They may have higher prices because their syrups can cost literally 10 cents a pump. So, or not even 10 cents for a whole bottle. So think about it that way too. Like we're brewing our coffees every morning with fresh real coffee. We have a grinder to grind our coffee fresh in the morning and we brew it. So we have a little upper hand here where it's not,
Well, of course, we had to get the store
processed.
and the electrician.
Yeah.
Everybody being forced with that grinder.
And
Yep.
nowadays, everyone supports the mom and pop shops.
Yep. So right here. So these are my stores, right? Where this is what we're selling, and this is my set pricing for it. Okay. So once again, we have the coffee itself. That we sell in our store. Okay, so here's the difference between the store and our wholesalers, because we also sell it to wholesalers as well. This section right here for the wholesalers is Albert's job, okay, to manage. Okay. But for our in store, right, we sell regular coffee and Supreme coffee, and we serve and offer two different sizings, right? We have medium cups and we have large cups. And we also sell the ceramic coffee mugs to the general public too, if they want to purchase one to keep or to brew their own coffee, right? So that's this right here. And then here are the set prices for wholesalers. So again, they're going to get a cheaper output out of it versus what we pay for it, right? We pay for like $1 or something out of it, but we charge a premium because they're using us as a vendor to transport these coffees to them. So this is their pricing as a wholesaler. And as a wholesaler, they do not get sales tax. So they're lucky that they don't get taxed from us. However, with this right here, when we're offering to create the product and sell it to our customers that are in store, we are subject to charge, 8.25% of tax. Okay, so we have to make note of that. So these are our prices. Now I'm gonna give you a hint, and actually I'm gonna tell you the rest of the thing. They're already calculated for you because that's not your job. Your job's not to calculate every sale by each dollar value, price value. Okay, I've already done the work for you. All you're responsible to do is just record what the sale was, what happened. This is how much copies I sold. Okay, this is how much it is. Okay, and that's exactly what a bookkeeper does. You're not the sales representative. You're not the one that's in charge of the cash register. You are strictly only in charge of recording the sale and what happened. Okay, so understand the difference between what position you are in the company. Your strict responsibility is just to record data that you see. All right, all the calculations are already done for you. So, but I do want you to know where those numbers come from. It's not like, oh, I sold 500 coffees and I have a grand total of 600 something dollars, right? Here gives you the price value for them, just so that you know where these values come from. Okay, you can double check your work. Like I've said, I've done all this before, and this isn't the first time we've done that. I've done this particular scenario. Okay, so, but what I'm trying to say here is here's your reference point in case you don't know where the numbers come from. All right, here it is. This is what the store is going to sell. This is how much they're going to sell their coffee for. All right,
I have a question.
go for it.
Okay, so when I saw this, okay, what I did is I made a copy and I put a chart next to my chart of accounts.
Okay.
So that I would have this for future reference. Was that a good idea or not necessary? Or
It's unnecessary. Reason being is, like I've mentioned before, your position isn't the one that's calculating all this. You have a cash register, it does pretty much everything for you, right? You just type in one coffee, and you could set the price of it for $1.99, right? And you say, okay, they purchased two of them. Or in this case, you just press that one button. You're not in charge of that, and in this case, you will never have to do that just because you are the bookkeeper slash accountant. Your job isn't to calculate that. Your job is just to see how many sales we've completed in the day. So I mean, it's not gonna. I wouldn't say it's not help. What do you call it?
not necessary?
Not necessary to do, but like I've said, it's just a reference point so you know where these numbers come from. Okay. All right. So this is our prices that we are going to sell our coffees for, so you know where these numbers come from. All right. And once again, we're going to charge sales tax. Okay. And once again, yes. Right. So let's take a look here on the 17th of June. So here, what's the first thing we have here?
ALB Remodeling Company for the foundation reinforcement, invoice 1760, and use a check. And then post it to the subsidiary ledger afterwards.
So the balance on the reinforcement for the grinder
Uh-huh.
is 1560.
Good. And where did you find that?
I had to go to, of course, our subledger
Good.
to our vendor.
All right. Here it is, our reinforcement. Okay. For the 1560. So, how are we going to journalize this? Go for it.
What we doing? Mir, what's up? Come on.
Would we use accounts payable and checking?
Yes, because here we've already entered in the bill. They sent us the bill, and now we're claiming because they've completed the project for us. They completed the foundation as of whatever, right? And they billed us on the 15th. Now here we're letting us, or sorry, they billed us on the 13th. Here, we're letting us know that we owe them money. So in this case, we entered it in our transaction as an accounts payable. So in order to, we owe them money. So how do you reduce accounts payable? By making a payment, right? So in this
Yep.
case, yes, that's exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be having the accounts payable in a checking account.
Those account numbers are 20,000 and 10,100. And the amount's 1560. Then before I write my note, I go to check register and I bounce a check.
Okay, so for 1560,
Yeah, it's 17 June though.
oh, that's right, thank you. 17, there you go.
And I made it out to LV Remodeling Company. And then I go back to the general journal and make a note, LV Remodeling Company, invoice number 1760, check 1517, paid bill. Then my next step is go to general ledger, under liabilities to accounts payable.
Can you wait a second, please? Okay, I'm good.
Okay, under accounts payable, we'll go 17 June. Invoice 1760. GJ6.
I'm gonna go ahead and say,
Oh, I put the check number too. And then debit for 1560.
We're in liabilities for this one,
yes.
under the grinder.
There's no grinder under liabilities.
Oh, accounts payable, sorry.
Quick question.
Go for it.
I clicked over to see what you guys were doing. So it's not a subcontractor expense, it is accounts payable.
In this case, we associated this 1560 because it was linked to our foundation. I'm sorry. It's our foundation that we did for the grinder. So we didn't place it under subcontractor expense because it was a cost that had to be associated with the grinder. So we put it in miscellaneous expense.
And when we took the grinder out of miscellaneous expense, we already put this 1560 back into the grinder with the other fees.
All right.
Yeah, so in this case, we've already associated what the expense was for. This time we're now paying it off. So that has nothing to do with the expense itself. The job has been completed since the 13th. Here, we're just paying for those expenses.
Okay.
So we are left with how much left in the accounts payable?
13,296.40. Now we'll go over to assets to checking. Check number 1517, JG6 for 1560. And we just bounced our bank account.
Okay. Here's one rule here there. This just in our checking ledger, right? It shows that we've bounced back. But the idea here is we haven't sent it out to the vendor yet, and they haven't received it yet, nor have they placed it into their bank account yet. We're just simply writing the check out. So the assumption that you are going to be charged the NSF is most likely unlikely because you just wrote the check out. You just sent it out. And
So
the
we have
rule,
time to-
exactly. We have time here because our notion is in our books. Yes, we didn't have enough, but the idea is that we just wrote the check out. We still have to mail it out at the end of the day or at, whatever, right? As long as you date it. We have time to send it out. And then on top of that, it may take anywhere from 2 to 3 days just to have the postal service mail it out. This is Monday, so it's definitely going to arrive either Tuesday or Wednesday. And then from there, it depends on when they decide to place it into their checking account. And then it will clear in our books upon when they decide to cash that check out. So in this case, you can't assume that you'll have that. You can't assume that you have that. What do you call it?
negative.
That negative amount because we just cut the check out today. Right?
And then from here, we'll go to the
Hold on. Okay. So so right here, right? Our assumption here is that we are overdrafted, or in this case, we have a negative $70 in our account. This is what I normally do. Is that because I don't like having negatives on this side. So what I do is I just type in on the credit side. And what I do is I just white this out, or like I change the font color to make it white. And what that does is it keeps the formula intact, so then it doesn't mess up my formula. And I'm just hiding the information there. But what it reflects here is, okay, that's so weird, I didn't do it. Okay, so let me select that cell. And what that essentially does is that it keeps the formula going. So instead of erasing it and having to start over again, it will keep this running balance going through all the way. But what I'm doing here is that I don't like to see this negative number here because you can't technically have a negative debit. It would be considered a credit at this point. So here I'm just reflecting in my books that that's what it is. Now you can't tag that this is an NSF because the whole idea is if you write the check and, right, you have 2 to 3 days for it to be sent out, and then you have to wait on the vendor themselves to go ahead and place it into the cash register themselves. So in this case, we're okay. Okay? But the next time that we write a check out, okay, that's where now we have to make that assumption where we are dipping into our money a little much. And the great thing about this is that what did we apply for? Do you guys remember? We didn't apply for a loan. What did we?
For protection against that.
Correct. So therefore, what was our total amount that we have protection up to?
Wasn't it 10,000?
$10,000. Correct. So in this case, not saying free willy, we could just go ahead and write a whole bunch of NSF checks. No, because you can and will get fined for that, right? That's an extra charge to the bank that the bank can charge you, but that's also based on, once again, at the end of the day, right? If we're able to deposit money into the bank account to before the next day, you can also prevent yourself from getting that extra charge as well. Because here it says we have we're under by $70. But once again, we just wrote the check out. So by the end of the day, if we do make our sales and we deposit that money right away into our bank account, right, we're safe from getting that extra charge, and we don't need to dip into our overdraft protection because we still have money in the bank. So there's a lot of bank work that goes into this, and how the idea works is that you usually have 24 hours to put money into your bank account to basically cover these costs or these extra things that you've written out for. That's the rule of guidelines from there. Now again, depending on which bank that you go to, right? The more you have that amount outstanding in your bank account, the more you'll get charged for that overdraft. Charge. So every bank has a different charge for every amount that you go over the amount that you have in your bank. But we have protection fee. So there we have that. However, that doesn't cover NSF charges, okay? So if you wrote an NSF charge knowing that you don't have enough money in the bank, but knowing that you have the overdraft protection, they will charge you on top of that an additional fee for every NSF check that you write. Okay? That's usually typical of all banks. They have a lot of hidden fees and a lot of things that they do to businesses, but that's the reality, right? Especially when it deals with doing business with this kind of, doing business with the bank. They have a lot of hidden fees and things that they charge without you either knowing or without knowing. Okay. So there we have it. I just want you to make sure that it makes it look like this instead of having it a negative debit account, because it's going to be it's supposed to represent a credit account. So in this case, right now I have a credit balance of $70.08. But all I did was just take this column and just change the font color to white, so it's hidden. The formula is still there because at the end of the day, right, our number should have a debit balance. Okay, usually, always, unless you're just taking more money out from the bank account, which isn't really good for business. Okay. So here we have that right there. And where do we need to go now?
Subsidiary ledger.
We need to go to our subsidiary ledger. Good. Right.
Vendors to LB Remodeling Company.
Got it.
I did payment, check number 1517, invoice number 1760, GJ6. I put in a payment for 1560, which gives me a zero balance.
Good. So here, we don't owe LV Remodeling anything. We paid for both of the bills. Right? Okay. So, what has happened next?
We sold some stuff.
Well, let's take a look at this carefully before we say we actually sold something.
Oh, she ordered it.
Yes, she
Yeah,
just
okay.
ordered it. Good.
Don't break my heart like that.
So let's take a look at this order form, okay? So here, this is a typical of what a purchase or a sales order form would look like. This is just an example, but this is from Katie, right? She decided to order something from us, okay? And this is the details here. So Katie here, right? Who's responsible to take care of Katie?
The sales guy. What's the Vato's name?
The Vato's name. It's at the top.
So. Where?
Right here, Albert.
Albert.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Albert. That guy.
Yes.
Yes, yes, our sales guy. Yes.
Okay, so good. He's responsible to keep in charge of Katie's sales. So from here, what's the detail into it? Let's take a look. What did she buy from us?
15 pounds out of our 150, and then regular supreme and some creamer.
Perfect.
Oh,
Oh,
and
no, nope,
some
nope.
mugs, some mugs.
Good, good. All right. Because this is considered a wholesale, because this is Mr. Albert's in charge of these people, right? He's the one that's looking for customers to sell our products as a wholesaler. So in this case, we're not charging any tax. However, what are we charging? What do we charge?
It really doesn't specify, but we just put $30 because we just want to make some money.
Okay, so in this case, it's a delivery charge, okay? Because this extra charge is because we have to deliver the product to their store. Because it says right here, how are they receiving the items? They're receiving it to their store. How do we get to their store?
Using the truck.
Using the truck. So excellent. So we're gonna charge a $30 fee for delivery. Okay. So that's just something you need to keep in mind. However, this is a sales order. What do we do with a sales order?
Cash on delivery?
It's not cash on delivery. Did we deliver to Katie yet?
No, we just submitted the order.
Okay, good. We submitted to the order. When do we need to deliver this to Katie?
Within 5 days?
In 5 days.
No, that's when she has to pay up.
No,
That's okay, good.
no.
It's
Delivery is June 19th.
June 19 is when we are subject to deliver them. Yes. So, therefore, did we actually have a transaction here?
Not yet.
No.
No, not yet. All we did was submit a sales order. So, in this case, what I want you to do here is I want you to go to your vendors and go to your employees, because under Albert, I want you to keep in mind that he has a potential sale. Okay, so I'm going to Albert commissions, right? And what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm only going to fill out a few information. I'm not going to fill out anything much here because we haven't confirmed whether they completed the sale or not. But it's just to keep in mind so we know to look ahead that he submitted a sales order, right? The first one's going to be for Katie, right? Her name's Katie. Okay. And we haven't had an invoice number yet. We only have a sales order number. But the potential amount is going to be for what? Including the freight. What's the total amount that she is estimated for? What's the
1905.
219.05? Okay. That's just to let us know he has a potential sale coming up. When he completes it, that's where we're going to come back to this worksheet. We're going to validate the day that he delivered it, the day that he, or the invoice number that he assigned it to, and whether that amount has changed or not. Because again, at this point in time, right, Katie can call in and say, wait, I want to change my order. Okay? So here we're just putting a potential, you know, as a potential earning that Albert can have, or a potential sale. Okay? And that's just how we do it. Now, again, if you did decide to create a sales order little worksheet on here to keep track of it, good for you. Once again, we're not in charge of keeping track of the sales. We're in charge of keeping track the sales that Albert earns. Okay?
He's con-
Yes.
What's his commission again?
10%. Yeah. So we're not going to calculate it yet because he hasn't delivered. He hasn't done his job yet. We can't just give him the money when he hasn't completed the job yet. Okay? So that's just, I want to make sure that you guys have aware that that he submitted a sales order that's pending upon when he delivers, right? It's an order. Okay. So all we're responsible is making sure that that order gets done and that we calculate Albert's earnings based off of that exact sale. Okay. All right. But no transactions here. No transaction necessary because in this case, no money has been exchanged and this hasn't been delivered yet. The job has not been completed yet. Okay. So then, voila, what happened here?
Oh, our employee came into work, and then we sold some stuff.
Yes, we had a grand opening. So,
Oh wait, quick question.
yes,
Now, was this? Do we? So it's not on the notes. But is our temporary worker working already?
yes,
Okay.
yes. He's scheduled to work from the 17th through the 19th just to help get the store get set up and everything. Yes.
I have another question.
Go for it.
For the order for Katie's Coffee Corner, wouldn't we want to make a note in this under customers that they placed an order, or not? Isn't necessary?
It's you can if you want to have like a column for sales orders, like sales order number, but in this case, Katie can call in and cancel,
Okay.
and then that sales order would be gone. Now again, we're not keeping track of Albert's job. All we're keeping track of whether he completed the job or not. Did he
Okay.
successfully do the sale? So
Make
in
the
this
sale.
case, yes. So in this case, if he doesn't deliver to Katie, then that's his job. That was his job. That was the one thing. That's the one job that he had to do was get the people to get to her store, sell the coffee, and if he does, then we give him 10%. If he doesn't do it, then he doesn't get anything. So in this case, for us, we just need to make sure that we keep track of whether he completed the sale or not. So in this case, yeah,
We're just keeping an eye on him.
exactly.
But as far as anything he's doing, we don't care about till we
Correct.
either get an invoice or
Correct.
payment or whatever.
Correct. Correct. So in this case, he's responsible for all of that. He's the responsible one to contact the customer. He's the one that's responsible for invoicing that customer, submitting sales forms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anything that has to do with his customers, they're his customers and his customers only. So here, it's not necessary to make a note in there unless you feel like you want to keep further, track of his sales orders when you
I got
don't
too
really
much to
need
do
to.
myself right now.
Exactly. So right now, this right here, unnecessary to have to make a note, okay? Because it's just a sales order number, right? Once we actually issue the invoice itself, that's where it's very important because hey, that's our coffee that we sold, so we better be also responsible for him to make sure that he collects the money from that customer. So that section for the subsidiary ledger only deals with when you actually complete the sale and you actually invoice the customers. Okay. So going back to here, we have a grand opening. All right, let's take a look at all the coffee cups that we sold. And yeah, here you go. You got tax, and that's the grand total of the day. So, how do I journalize this?
Well, we gotta pay Uncle Sam, so we got.
Oops, wrong line.
Would it be inventory?
Okay,
No, it'd be regular coffee and Supreme Coffee.
that's inventory. Not yet. Because right here, at this very moment, what am I doing?
Sales?
Yeah, made sales.
You made sales. Good.
So we're gonna in our journal we're gonna have sales discount.
Okay, good.
Um, where do I cannot find sales tax connected? Or,
What is sales
Sales
tax?
tax payable,
Payable. So it's a liability.
the liability, and that's gonna be 270.00.
Perfect. Okay, that's something that's going to be into the journal. What else is going to be in the journal?
Oh, sells medium supreme coffee, sells large supreme coffee.
Good.
That's what
Sales
we
tax
have.
payable too.
Sales tax payable too. But what else did we sell? We didn't just strictly only sell medium coffees. What else did we also sell?
Large.
Large copies.
We also sold large coffees. Good. All right. You said we're going to recognize a sales discount and we're going to recognize sales tax payable. Good. Now here's something that I want to say. All these sales are cash. So what's your automatic assumption here?
Cash.
Deposit.
We're going to deposit at the end of the day, but what else? What are we collecting?
Cash.
Cash. Exactly. So,
Cash register.
okay, so in this case, all of our money is going to go directly to our checking account because it says at the very bottom all cash sales were deposited to the bank. So in this case, do we have a cash account?
No, we use checking.
We use checking. Good. So how do I organize my journal to reflect that we had a sale? What's the order that I need to put these in?
Okay, I would go sells regular coffee.
That should be first.
Checking.
Checking.
Check it.
Remember,
Yeah,
so
because you're going to debit the checking account.
correct. You're gonna debit the checking account first. Good. All right. Let's just do the layout in here first, and then we'll deal with the numbers afterwards. Okay. So checking is there. Okay. What else do I need to recognize?
Go back to the.
Would it just
Sales
be
tax
sales?
payable.
Sales tax payable. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay. Sales tax payable is going to be one of them.
So then it would be the regular coffee, medium, the large, and then the supreme, medium and large.
Okay. So there's the exact wording to it. What is the exact
And
account?
medium coffee cup.
No,
No.
sales.
Sales.
Yeah.
Good. Sales. Exact. It has to be the exact name for each account.
Sales medium coffee cup.
Good. Sales. Medium. What kind of coffee?
Regular.
Regular. Okay. Good. Coffee.
The one above it would be sales large regular coffee.
What else?
And sales. Was it medium small coffee? I think it was.
Medium supreme.
Medium
Medium
supreme.
supreme.
Good.
And then sales large supreme coffee.
Okay. And then this is where I'll go ahead and put your sales tax payable. Okay. Where does your 20% discount go?
Oh yeah. Under the checking.
Under the checking. So
Sales discount. Is it?
yes, sales discount. Good. So let's go ahead and list out all those account numbers. So what is my sales discount account?
Sales discount is going to be 46,000.
Good. What about my sales for the medium regular coffee?
11760.
That's the
No,
supplies.
40,300.
40,000, 43,000. Okay.
40300.
And then 40,350.
Okay.
And 4450.
And what's my last one?
4500.
Oop, 40. Good. And my sales tax was 27. I believe you guys mentioned that earlier. It was 27,000. Okay. So there I have my accounts exactly laid out. So let's go ahead and fill in our information. How much cash or how much money did I receive?
745.94.
7. Okay. How much was my discount for the 20%?
172.27.
Okay. And then what was my sales for the medium regular coffee?
157.21.
And my large regular coffee?
209.30.
And my large regular supreme coffee? I'm sorry. Medium supreme coffee.
201.69.
And my large supreme coffee.
293.16.
Okay. And lastly, what was my amount of tax I'm supposed to be collecting?
56.85.
Right. Here, I'm dealing with multiple accounts and multiple debits and multiple credits. What is the first rule that you have to check?
That they match.
Yes, so here you could do a simple equal sum. You could just click and highlight what you have to check that as well. But I'm not keeping this in the journal. I'm just doing as a quick check. So I have a total of 918.21 and I have a total of 918.21. So here my debits match my credits, okay? You can do this on the side if you'd like, but once again, I've mentioned before, if you know the quicker way, right, you could just click here and check the bottom to make sure that says 918.21, and then I could also click this as well to make sure I have 918.21. This is for preventative measures, but also in case I accidentally fat fingered a penny or something like that. So this is making sure that I'm transferring all my information into this. And like I've mentioned before, these are already pre-calculated. So it's all about whether you're entering in the information correctly or not. Okay. So there we have it. That is our journal here. What's going to be my note?
Grand opening.
Grand opening.
20% discount.
Okay. You could say in-store sales. That's usually what I would say. Okay, so that indicates why we are taxing people because it's an in-store sale. Okay. Grand opening, 20% discount, in-store sale. Okay. Excellent. So that was us journalizing our first sale of the day. So we have a few things that we have to do. Okay.
We've got to make a bank deposit.
We got to make a bank deposit for the total of. So we're going to go to deposits. All right, deposits, not POs. There you go, deposit. We received a total of $754.94. All right.
Wait, that's.
Go ahead.
I got you. I got it.
Okay.
I was thinking of something else. Sorry.
No worries. Okay. So we received a total of $745.94 worth of cash. Okay. And what I said here is that all cash is deposited to the bank. All cash sales are deposited to the bank. Okay? So that's ideally what you want to do. At the end of every day, when we collect money, I want you to deposit it to the bank. You need to physically go. So this right here, we have the money at the cash register, but what do we got to do? We actually have to run it to the bank and deposit it. So in this case, it's the end of the day. So I'm assuming I'm going to go ahead and make that deposit today for that $745.94. Here, too, is that one, we also wrote a check that could potentially be an NSF if we don't put the money in the bank. So that is exactly why I had that rules and guidelines, right? Usually when you do cut a check and you do overdraft your bank, you do have 24 hours to put that money in the bank, or at least the end of the day, but by midnight or something like that. If not, they will charge you overdraft, NSF, all that extra bank fees, right, for doing so. So here we need to put the money in the bank now, okay, or as soon as the store closes. So in this case, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to run to the bank and deposit this money now. Okay, so there we have it. We deposited that day, and now we should be able to place that money into our checking account, and we should be safe. Okay, so going back to my journal, all right, what do we need to do next?
Put all this in the ledger.
Put all of this in the ledger. All right, where do you guys want to start?
Checking.
Checking. So
Would you just put cash or sales?
I would definitely put sales, so you know where this cash came from. So I would normally say in-store sales, so you know exactly where the money came from. Okay. Okay. So for how much am I going to be depositing?
$745.94.
And voila. What does it look like here? By keeping the formula in the left side and not cutting it out, it still has my running balance here. All I did was just highlight the box and change the font color to hide it. That's it. Okay, so here, now it says that we have a positive number. So therefore, when this check does clear, right, because we sent it out today, it takes 2 to 3 days, business days for the other person to receive it. By then, you should definitely have this money, because usually cash deposits usually clear in within that same hour. Especially if you go to the ATM, it will go in. It should go in automatically. Okay. Now, if you do a deposit over $1,000, then that's where it can take a couple days to process. So if someone wrote you a check for $2,000, it will take some time, because one, it's a check. Two, it's it's more than $1,000. But usually cash deposits go in pretty nice and smoothly. It goes instantly. Okay. So there we have it. We have a nice positive number. So therefore, our NSF check isn't an NSF check anymore, right? Because at that point, the money should have been already placed in there. It's there, and we cut the check today. So therefore, by the time the person puts their check into the bank, it should be fine. There's no shipping. There's no charge there. Okay. All right. What's next?
Go to revenues to sales discount.
Yay, so we're finally looking at all of our revenues accounts. So as you can see, we have one for each item that we sell. Here we are, sales discount.
note, I put in, grand opening, in-store 20% discount.
Hmm? Okay. What was my discount amount for?
For the 172.27.
Right, making sure we copy that in there. 172.27. All right. What's after that?
Sale medium cups,
Now
medium regular.
Medium regular coffee.
we have to go through every single item on our list here. So starting with our sales medium regular coffee. Here we are. Medium regular coffee. All right.
In-store sale,
You could do in-store sales, but specifically, how many cups did I sell?
79.
I would put the 79 cups that you sold.
okay.
All right. For what amount?
157.21.
57.21, which should be my beginning balance here in my credit side. Okay. How many cups of my large medium cups did I sell?
70.
Oh, sorry, I think I said large medium. Large regular. How many?
70.
70 cups.
209.30.
209.30.
Then go down to the medium supreme coffee sales.
Uh-huh.
Date 6/17, 81 cups sold.
Good.
General Journal 6 for 201.69.
$201.69.
And go to sales large supreme coffee. Date 6/17, 84 cups sold. General Journal 6 for 293.16. And then you go to sales tax payable.
Then we're going to go to sales tax payable. Okay. So here we're finally diving all the way down to our liabilities for our in-stores. So let's find that sales tax payable. here we are. Sales. Oh, nope, one more. Sales tax payable.
Would you put grand opening?
You can, but is tax ever affected by a grand opening?
No.
And then in most cases, in pretty much all scenarios, right? If you charge sales tax, you normally charge it when you're in store because that's the cost it takes to open up a business, right? But that's the only time we'll ever see sales tax ever occur because we don't charge sales tax to our wholesalers or the people who are buying from us because they could get tax exempt because they're a wholesaler to retail relationship, right? Or we're acting as if we're the wholesaler. So in this case, we tax exempt because it's a business to another business. This is a business to customers. So in this case, it's up to you. You can put in store, but obviously, you're gonna tax no matter what when you make a sale in store. So it's up to you what you want to put in there. But in this case, I'm leaving mine blank because I know that this happened during my in-store sales. General journal number 6 and
For 5685.
5685. Thank you. 85 credit is going to be for the 5685. Okay. There we go. Anything else that we can do?
Yes.
What is that?
We gotta go make. We have a cash flow. We got money flowing in, right? So do we write down a statement of cash flow in our financial forms?
Okay, we only do the financial forms when we reach the end of our accounting period when we're about to close out our books. So in this case, no. We do not put that in the statement of cash flows because we have a lot of more cash that will flow into our company as we go through each day. So like I mentioned before, as a coffee shop, that means we got to do 7 days a week. So this isn't our first transaction, right? We have until the end of June 30th. So this is just one out of the 15 days that we're going to be having sales.
All right. In that case, then inventory, is that going to affect it? Because we didn't establish how much a cup of the 250 or 150 pounds we got of coffee.
Okay,
Does
so
that affect our inventory?
well, let's take a look. Do we have inventory when we sold something? Do we have a particular inventory that we have to keep track of our sales for?
No.
Why no?
Well, the right now, all we did was we had sales. Okay, so we already recorded those sales of those particular items,
Okay.
but
Now,
we didn't deal directly with inventory.
okay, let me ask this question again. Do we have perpetual inventory?
Yes.
Yes, we do. And what's the rule if we sell something, what is the direct correlation when we have
We need
perpetual?
to update the inventory.
Correct. So if
So,
you kept reading on, you're going to see that the in-store sales, we used X amount of regular coffee and X amount of supreme coffee. So where do we need to go?
to our inventory,
We need
regular coffee, cost of goods sold.
correct. So in this case, yes, Felipe, we do need to do the inventory worksheet because we sold some coffee. Now here, this is a general one because it's not specified by how many cups I sold because it really depends, right? If I sold X amount of medium coffees versus X amount of large regular coffees, right? That can fluctuate of how many pounds I can use. And in this case, this is a general assumption that I used a total of 12.5 pounds. I opened each 1 pound bag and I used 12.5 of them. Okay. For my Supreme Coffee, I used 14 pounds. Okay. It's not based on how many specific numbers. I'm not going to have you guys calculate that. But this right here is what your inventory manager told you, saying, hey, we opened up 12 bags and 12 bags and a half of the regular coffee and 14 bags of the Supreme Coffee. So therefore, that's how much we have left. That's how much we used. Okay, so then what we do? Inventory worksheet. So here we are going to take a look at this. Now, question to you. We're skipping over the subsidiary ledger. Why?
We didn't deal directly with a customer that we knew.
Exactly. Our customer lists is only specific people that we actually know and that we have a relationship with or have an account with. In this case, this was we opened our grand opening store for the general public. We don't know who these people are. We don't know if they're going to come back. We don't know if they want to purchase coffee from us. We just are selling to the general public. We don't care who they are. So in that case, we have to skip over the subsidy ledger because we don't need to keep track of them. Okay? None of them are going to owe us money for any of their reasons. Okay? So now that we are here in my in my inventory worksheet, let's go ahead and do our first one. So how many pounds did we sell?
12 and a half.
We sold 12.5 of our regular coffee. Or we used, not sold. We used.
Yeah.
Okay? So therefore, we've already calculated what our average cost per item is, because in this case, we only have one batch. We're not dealing with multiples or any of them. We're dealing with one batch and one batch only. So in this case, what is my cost per item going to be?
1.6000.
1.60000. In this case, it's 160. So
give you a total of $20.
Good. Now, to be consistent with everything, since I know this is a rounded number, I'm going to go ahead and use my equal round just so that I'm consistently through, like, keeping the flow of the transaction all the same. So in this case, I'm going to apply an equal round formula just to ensure that when I do my calculations, right, that they all are going to be in terms of dollar value, because these numbers here on your cost of goods sold is what you're going to journalize. And the rule for journalizing is it's the monetary assumption, which means you have to do in terms of dollars. You cannot record half a penny, a third of a penny. You cannot record that. It has to be rounded to the nearest penny. So in this case, I already know, right, from just looking at my rounded number, it's going to automatically be rounded. But in this case, to be consistent, because we are using moving average, we will come across where our cost per item will drastically not be a nice, even, rounded number. So in this case, I'm already going to put this formula in there so we can start using it right then and there. Okay? Now here...
Give me a second to catch up.
Yeah, I'm just still explaining. So here, this is where you guys have the option, right? I showed you 2 ways how to fill out this inventory worksheet. You can choose to enter in your work in the middle space right here. So subtract out your 12.5 pounds and then subtract your 20 out here to show you what your ending balance should be. Or what I've showed you the second time around is I'm just going to take it directly right out from my inventory. So that's what you can do. Once again, because we are looking at these books ourselves and we're looking at it every single day, we can be safe to just be able to just take it right away from our inventory. We don't need to have the calculations or work in the middle. Okay, so here I'm going to go ahead and do it right across, because how I taught you how to do moving average is that every time we enter in a new value, whether it's our quantity or whether it is our total, right? We're constantly calculating a new average cost per item. Now, how I taught you how to do this one was simply you're going to take your quantity, right, of 125, and we're going to subtract out my 12 and a half, and I should get a total of 112.50. Okay? So that's my first quantity right there. I adjusted it right there by saying I no longer have 125, I have 112.50. Okay? And what you're going to do here is you're going to do the same thing to your total cost, right? You're going to take your 200, so here's my formula here. You're going to equal 200, subtract how much you sold, which is the $20, to get you a total of 180, which in the middle, right? If you guys remember from when we first took a look at inventory, right? I've already set the formula in there to take my total cost and divide it by my quantity, and I've dragged that formula all the way down. So every time I enter in my quantity and every time I enter in a total cost, it will automatically calculate it for me. So here, I'm still at $1.60. Okay. And what I like to do here is that I like to blur out my information that happened that day. So in this case, I'm just gonna hide it, or in this case, I can black it out, or if you want to, you could change the color of it if you'd like. So right now I could change it to white so it's hidden. Or what I could do is I could also black it out if I wanted to make sure that I keep records that I no longer have this. So in this case, I'm gonna black it out. Usually I would black it out, and you can highlight it with whatever color you'd like. In this case, since my first example was I just changed the fonts here. I don't like to see that, so it's kind of distracting to me. So I'm gonna keep it at black and just wipe it out by blacking out the whole amount there. So then all I see here is that this is what I have available. What I have now available to sell is I only have I only have 112.5 pounds left. Okay. So
That's for,
What
that's
was your
for,
formula? Your formula was in the cost or it was in the total?
it's in the cost. Okay, so yes, Alan, what was
my question was, that's personal preference, correct?
personal preference? Yes. You could choose whatever you like. If you prefer to have it white, if you prefer to have it grayed out, whatever color you'd like. I'm just showing you how I keep track of my inventory. Just so then instead of having it all cluttered and all these numbers like popping out, at least here I am not distracted. I just see exactly what I need to see in my inventory on hand. I have 112 left.
I guess what I meant is I don't have to do that.
No,
because
you
I
don't
know
have
that
to.
My bottom line is my running balance right now.
Correct. Correct. Okay. All right.
Now we have to move to Supreme Coffee next.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Supreme Coffee, right? What's one thing that we have to make a note of? How are we costing out the Supreme Coffee?
FIFO.
FIFO. In this case, how many batches do we even have?
125.
Well, how many batches?
One.
We only have one.
One batch.
One batch, and one batch only. So here, pretty straightforward, pretty even, right? We know exactly what the cost per item here is, right? So we can grab our first one. And once again, I'm going to also do my equal round here. Knowing it's an even number, I'm just, making my worksheet consistent all around. So here I'm still going to indicate that right there. Because we will see a couple of scenarios where we will come across pounds that we do purchase that will not be even. So in this case, I'm just being consistent with my numbers here, my formulas. So here, it's gonna cost me $25.20. Oops. Okay. All right. Same thing here. You have the choice whether you want to enter in your calculations in the middle. But for me, I like to prefer to just go ahead and directly take it out from inventory on hand. Now it's up to you. You have the choice because I showed you the different ways on how to complete this worksheet. So if you feel better off calculating in the middle to ensure that your calculations are accurate, go ahead and do so. I'm going to go ahead and take it directly out from my inventory. So in this case, right, if I have 125 pounds, right, and I sold or I used 14, how much should I have left in my quantity?
111.
111, and boom, it already has calculated for me. So in this case, my only variable here is just my quantity. My cost will stay the same, and my calculation is in my total cost. So here it automatically calculated for me. Now, if we remember, right, it was 225. So what's 225 subtract 25, 20? You're going to get 199.80. Okay?
What was the formula in the quantity that you did
Oh,
for the 111?
I just did 125 subtract my 14
Okay.
to get my a 111. So it's very crucial that you keep an eye on what this number is because you're ultimately going to be erasing it out from that column. And so here I have 111 left in my first batch. I want to leave everything the way it is because we're dealing with batches of inventory. So the next batch I will have, it will be occupying the next line. But in this case, that's my consistency that I want to stay with is that I'm going to constantly be changing the quantity, but my cost will stay the same, and therefore it will automatically calculate my new total. So here I have 111 costing me at 199.80. Okay. So now that we completed our inventory worksheets, what do we do next?
Sorry, I'm talking. My microphone's muted.
Go for it.
We don't have to. We don't have to do anything with the coffee cups because those are supplies we use. Correct? We didn't sell no mugs.
We did sell mugs. Good observation. Now with the coffee mugs, right? I mentioned this last time when we actually purchased it yesterday, right? That we will calculate the cost per cup that we used and sold at the very end, right? We're going to compute it as a cost of materials. We're going to expense it at the end of the month. So in this case, that is exactly why I have you for each sales is I want you to put the number of cups you sold because we will be calculating the total cost of materials at the end of the period, at the end of the month. Okay.
I guess we move on to Tuesday.
We still got one more thing to do.
Let's see. Oh, wrong worksheet.
Okay, we took care of the checking,
Good.
the sales discount. Going down the list too.
Okay.
You do sales tax payable?
We did do sales tax payable.
Oh, we have to update our inventory.
Good. Good. And how do you do that?
Go to the general journal.
We are the general journal.
Wait a minute.
We completed the inventory worksheet. What was the purpose of us completing the inventory worksheet?
To update our inventory.
Okay. How? How do we reflect that in our journal? If you guys need a hint, it's chapter 7.
So we will have to journal that we made $25.20
We didn't
on our
make it.
Supreme.
What did we do? We didn't make it. What did we do?
Hold it.
Okay, not sold, but we used it, right?
Right.
So how do we journalize that we got rid of that?
Oh,
Cost
you would
of
do
goods.
the coffee and
Cost of
Cost of
goods.
goods.
Good. Cost of goods
What a
sold.
trick
Good.
question.
Right? That's it.
Ah,
And then I was gonna give you a hint by making you guys go back to your worksheet and tell me what column did you fill out. You filled out the cost of goods sold column. Okay, so there we go. Now we have the idea, right? In order to update our inventory, we need to journalize what we sold. So in this case, we are looking into the expense account, cost of goods sold, because it's directly correlated to inventory. So let's take a look at our chart of accounts and tell me, what are the cost of goods sold accounts that we need to be associating with?
Cost of goods sold, regular coffee,
Good,
cream coffee,
good. So in this case, I put COGS, regular coffee, and we got COGS,
550.
Supreme Coffee. And it was, you said the first one was 550?
550,
Oops.
and then 50, 100.
50, 100. Good. Right? And then what account are we going to be taking out from? If we're updating our inventory, which account are we taking out from?
come again with that question.
If we calculated our cost of goods sold, right? What account are we taking out from?
Alan, this one's for you. Come on. Stop falling asleep.
So, if we're dealing with perpetual inventory, right?
To inventory.
Inventory, good, because every time we purchase something, we place it into inventory. When we sell something, we take it out from inventory. So in this case, what is our inventory items that we're taking out from?
12020 and 12040.
Yes.
Supreme coffee.
Regular coffee and supreme coffee, which is 1220 and 1240. For what amounts now? How much did we sell or calculate the cost of goods sold? How much do we do that for our regular coffee? What was the amount here?
$20.
$20. What about my supreme coffee?
25.
520.
25.20. So that's exactly what we've calculated, right? And we've already updated it on our inventory worksheet. Now we're journalizing it to reflect on our ledger. Okay, so here, $20 for the regular and $25.20 for the supreme. Right, those are exact copies here. So we're gonna take away $20 from our regular coffee, and we're gonna take away $25.20 from our supreme coffee. So here, just make a note that this was in-store use because that's what we used to create the coffees when we sold our coffee in the store. So in-store use. Okay. So now we can go ahead and go directly to our ledger, okay? Starting with our cost of goods sold, right? Our first entry in the cost of goods sold regular coffee, we can mark that we used 12.5 pounds, okay? And it was for $20, making my beginning balance $20. Okay. So as you can see, we have a lot of cost of goods sold that we're going to be encountering. So I'm going to format that the way I like it. Okay. And if you've already done this before, I'm going to wait till the very second one to do my calculations. But for now, I'm just entering the first one. So there we go. My cost of goods sold for regular coffee was that I used 12.5 pounds in the store and it cost me $20 to use. Okay. Now, once again, we're going to go down to my Supreme Coffee, cost of goods sold Supreme Coffee. And this time, I used 14 pounds in my store. Okay. And that cost me $25.20. Okay. Which, once again, I'm going to go ahead and format my columns. So, because we have a lot of things that we're going to be calculating as cost of goods sold. So here, I have it. All right. Last but not least, I need to go to my inventory items. So I need to locate my regular coffee. Here it is. And now this is where my running balance is very important. Okay. So since I, right, sold, or in this case, I used some of my regular coffee, I used 12.5 pounds of regular coffee, which then resulted me in taking away $20. So in this case, my running balance, right, if I have my formula in here, right, I'm going to copy it all the way down to my bottom of my table. It's now going to show me that I have $180 left. Where do I see this number? Where do I see my 180?
Took the 200 minus 20.
Good. But in another worksheet, where do I also see that number?
I've seen it somewhere and I don't remember.
Okay. You see it in your inventory worksheet. So in this case, it's my Supreme Coffee. And that is where you're going to make sure that your inventory worksheet and your ledger accounts match at all times, because that's going to show proof to you that you've calculated in the worksheet and you also updated it in your ledger. So then that gives you a double, way to make sure that you did your accounting correctly. Okay, so there we go. I know I have 180 because that's exactly what I calculated in my worksheet.
Wait, well, that's under assets. Hold on. Where were you showing us the 180 at?
On my inventory worksheet, right here.
Okay. Okay, I don't have that. I don't know what's going on here.
What do you mean you don't have an inventory worksheet? We just worked
No,
on it
no, no.
together.
I'm missing my math. It's my math is gone, and I don't understand. The 11250 moved to the total column. Oh wait, hold it. Never mind. Me, I didn't have my sheet over. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no worries. Okay.
I'm good.
So here we match on my inventory worksheet as well as my ledger account. So now here I just have to make sure that at the end of the day for my Supreme coffee, I should reflect my account to say that I have 199.80 left in my Supreme coffee. So let's go ahead and enter that into my ledger. Okay. Supreme coffee's right here. Okay. Date is the 17th and I used 14 pounds. General journal number 6, and this time I used $25.20 of my Supreme coffee. So if I have my running balance here, it should tell me that I now should have $199.80 left in my inventory, which I do. Okay? And here, do we need to update our subsidiary ledger?
Oh.
Well, if we had a sale, we had an employee work, but I wouldn't think so because we didn't deal with a particular customer or vendor.
Exactly. So that means this is the last of this transaction. That means now we are completely done with this transaction. Okay.
Can you wait a second? I'm trying to get my ledger formula. Something's wrong.
Yeah, I was gonna tell you guys right here. We're gonna stop here because it is now 3:15, 3:30. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna stop here. That's the end of this transaction here. So I'm gonna stop the video.
What's the,
Just give me 1 second.
before you end everything?